Here are the top 5 things that we hate about the Switch 2.
Oh.
Yes, we've been so positive over the past few weeks about the Nintendo Switch 2. We thought we'd bring some balance to our gaming coverage.
Yes.
And tell you the things that we dislike about the upcoming Switch 2.
Yes, we're going to get straight into it.
Yes, and the first one, Andy, it's Nintendo cheaping out on their accessories and overcharging on things.
I would have to unfortunately agree with this.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I don't like talking about pricing at all in general because we've talked about it in detail. But
we have.
When I look at their hardware, I think it's fair pricing. The games kind of hurts that some of them are more expensive.
Yes.
The bit that they cannot defend is the accessories.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, the cases, the travel cases and stuff, you're going to find third-party manufacturers, that will feature on the channel and do reviews of that will most likely be a lot more, affordable.
And if the Switch 1 has anything to go by, quite often the third-party manufacturers will offer things that are of better quality or better features as well.
Yeah,
than
absolutely.
Nintendo OEM ones.
My biggest pet hate here is the fact that Nintendo are charging you £30. I don't know what it is in dollars. I imagine $40+ for the charging grip for the Joy-Cons. Why is that not included?
I was completely unaware of this. I assumed it came in the box. It is the one we were given the example of at the Switch 2 event.
It was
when we were playing Mario Kart on the TV.
Yep.
And it's cool. It's got the back buttons. It's got the it's got the charging port on the top.
Absolutely.
So what comes in the box then if it's not
just the dummy one, like on the Switch one? So no back paddles and no charging port on the top.
That's not cool at all.
It's not cool.
Not £30.
Yeah.
Is the camera justified at the price that it is?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at I think that's a fair pricing. And I say fair, not good, but fair offering because it's a 1080p cam that's going to get you and up to 4 people, pretty well integrated into your game or whatever. But you do have stuff like the Hori Piranha plant that, yes, arguably has a much lower resolution at 480p.
But it's a fun face cam. It's not a real thing.
And it's almost half the price.
The other one that I would just thoroughly recommend you look for third-party manufacturers when they do release them is Joy-Cons and Joy-Con alternatives. Because getting spare Joy-Cons, it was expensive last generation. It's more expensive now. I believe they were $90, $95.
Yeah, they've gone up,
They've always been expensive. And the third-party manufacturers, at least by a year or so in, have quite often nailed making better versions.
Yeah, we've seen some absolutely phenomenal, ones for the Switch 1. So I imagine those manufacturers will come out with some very good ones. For
on
the
the
Switch
flip
2.
side, I will just quickly on this say that the Pro Controller, I think, is probably the best value priced accessory that they make.
I think it's the best accessory, must-have accessory that they offer. Just sheer quality of it and the fact that you'll be able to wake from sleep with it, which you will not be able to do with any of the original Switch controllers or I imagine any third-party ones.
None of the third-party ones, none of the Joy-Cons or anything that was Switch 1. They'll all work, but you won't be able to wake from sleep, which kind of makes them a bit redundant.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll move it along to number 2, the things we hate about the Switch 2, and it is about VRR docked.
Oh, this one hits me hard, man. I'm a big VRR fan.
Right, we need to set the stall out on this one because when the Switch 2 was announced, VRR docked was on the specs page.
They listed it as a feature on the Nintendo
alongside
website.
HDR.
Yep.
But have in recent weeks deleted it off the specs and information sheet.
In every language.
In every language.
Yes.
So there's this big floating question mark. Will VRR be enabled through the dock? Does the HDMI port support it? Is it a HDMI 2.0 or 2.1? We still don't know.
No, and we thought maybe they've removed reference to it because not everyone's got a compatible display.
Makes sense.
However, where it did say that, it still remains that it says HDR support, but then it goes on to say with compatible displays. So VRR would still be there if it was still there. So it is as you've said, maybe they intended it to be there and then last minute changed the HDMI to a 2.0 instead of a 2.1, or maybe it's just been stripped out of the 2.1 variant they have, or maybe it's going to come as a firmware update.
I was just going to think it's the most likely is that it's a firmware thing that there's a problem with it in some way they haven't nailed down, and they're going to firmware patch it back in, because if it was hardware based, they would know by the time they made the announcement what the hardware was.
Absolutely, I agree. And we know that there's VRR on the internal display. That's been confirmed by them and NVIDIA as well. So it is a real shame if there's no VRR docked support, I'm going to be kind of upset about that.
I'd be upset about it as well. It's not going to make or break for most people.
No.
Because obviously you're going to get more performance when it is docked anyway, so it's going to be less of an issue.
Yes, but because we've got that variable refresh rate display on the internal screen, we know games are going to be fluctuating with FPS, and you want to smooth that out with VRR, so it will be a shame if we don't have that.
All right, the big one for me and for everyone out there is number 3.
I know what's coming.
No OLED.
Oh!
Right.
There's two camps here. There's the people that are die-hard OLED till you drop, and then there's the other camp that would rather have, the higher spec LCD.
Here's my thing about why I put it in the things that we hate about it. This is, if I was dreaming, if it was Dreamland and you were doing the ultimate Switch 2.
Yes.
It would be 120 hertz OLED with VRR, and somehow they made that work.
Absolutely agree. And I think people have taken our other videos and thought, oh, these guys hate OLEDs.
No.
I love OLED. I've got 3 in my house.
Yes.
I love them.
They're fantastic. In truth, this isn't Nintendo's fault. This isn't something Nintendo could fix.
No.
It's cost, it's performance, and it's practicality. Practically, OLED and VRR don't play nice with each other.
No.
Cost, it would be hellishly expensive.
Yes.
For that. It just... Well, really, that's it, isn't it?
Yes.
It comes down to
the main reason is, I think, OLED VRR flicker. And if you want more information on that, we've done a whole video about why we know the Switch 2 doesn't have an OLED screen.
And in that video, one of the biggest responses we saw was most people that didn't watch the video just commenting saying it's because they're going to release an OLED update halfway through. I strongly doubt that they will.
Yeah, it really depends, because let's say that there's an 8-year life cycle again here. In 4 years, maybe they fixed OLED VRR flicker, in which case, bring it on. I will stump up and, pay again.
I still believe the only solution to VRR flicker is to brute force performance your way through it. And I don't think they can round that square. I don't think they can fix it.
Not on a handheld APU and a tablet.
Yeah, running at 15 watts. Yeah, it just doesn't.
It's currently not possible.
Yeah, so yes, I hate that it's not there.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I really dislike this OLED because OLED is beautiful. But rest assured that this IPS panel, VRR, 120 hertz,
HDR,
is phenomenal.
It's really good. This is not low quality LCD that we've experienced on the Switch 1.
Yeah.
It is nowhere like that. So we've got hands on at the London event for about 4 hours, and it is a phenomenal display for an LCD. It's
and some people prefer LCD panels over OLED.
Yeah. You get PWM flickering and stuff with OLEDs that some people are really acute to.
Yeah, get headaches.
They get headaches and stuff. So for many people, they'll prefer the LCD.
Yeah. So I'll just ask the question: is this panel actually better than just having an OLED? I would say yes, because of the specs it has.
The feature specs, absolutely, yeah. I mean, again, it would have been nice to see a mini LED or a micro LED or anything like that. But, maybe that will be the update in future. But currently it looks like an edge-lit LCD IPS panel with HDR, VRR, it's
120 hertz.
120 hertz. It's a really good screen and it looks great.
It looks great. All right, number 4. And this is one that I also can't defend Nintendo on at all. Game key carts.
Oh, this is my number 1. I think this is my number 1 problem here. The game key carts thing. Oh, it's
as a recovering game collector.
Yes.
As in, I'm addicted to collecting games, and I'm trying my best to wean myself off just buying every physical game that exists. This absolutely sucks for game collectors. It's horrible.
Yes, absolutely. This is it's disgusting.
Again, we're trying to defend why they've made these decisions.
Yes, there's some things, and obviously before we say, we're not saying every game's going to be like this.
No.
We know Cyberpunk is not.
Yep.
We know Mario Kart World is not.
Yep.
So we know there's going to be future games that also are going to be actually on the cards.
But in Japan, the artwork for all the third-party games has been released already, and they all are.
Yes, game key
in Japan. Game key carts.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see. At least in the first year or so, we're going to see developers and publishers leaning on this as a simple, lazy solution.
Absolutely, yes. And I think to bring up Digital Foundry, John Lineman made a good point in one of their podcasts saying that He thinks it's because of the lack of SD card express being available at such a small size, and which is why Cyberpunk's on a 64 gig cartridge, which is probably the smallest size of SD card express currently available. And they're not going to put like a little indie game that's like 500 megabyte on a 64 gig card, which is going to increase cost. So I think that's why they're going the game key card route. However, once these actual SD card expresses are available at smaller sizes, is a third-party manufacturer really going to choose to pay more to do that?
Probably not.
Probably not. They're going to stick with the game key card.
I will say in defense as well, it's a massive improvement over the code in a box that we had on Switch 1.
Absolutely. This is 10 times better than that. Like the code in the box thing was useless. You're buying a piece of plastic with an eShop code in it, which is linked to your account. You can no longer sell it. At least here, you can take the card out. Put it in the box and go and sell it to someone, and they've got access to that game or lend it.
What's nice about this from Nintendo in general is that they seem to be trying to solve some of the problems that the digital first gaming kind of landscape is now for people. Some of the friction points they had, and obviously keys in a box was one of them. Could not been able to sell it, which is a big thing for collectors. They want to be able to have this game with them forever or resell it. And it's good that they're trying to solve that. It sucks that we're going to see so much of it for collectors specifically. It's not nice.
It's not nice. And unfortunately, it's kind of a push to go digital, really, isn't it?
It's more another reason why I think for my Switch 2 journey anyway, I'm going to be digital only. And finally, the biggest one we've seen on our controller videos about the Switch 2.
This comes up a lot.
Lack of analog triggers and no Hall effect joysticks.
Yeah. Let's start with the joysticks first. Because we don't know. Nobody knows what's going on with the joysticks yet. They haven't said their potentiometers.
It's worth reminding everyone that we covered it in a news video way before Switch 2 launched, that Nintendo had patented a magnetic...
Some sort of magnetic
It had a
system.
Specific name. It was really complicated. For a new version of how joysticks will work, which is kind of like how Hall effect works.
Yes.
Specifically, though, that patent was added almost haptic resistance.
Like a resistance to it,
Yeah, that could change depending on what the character was doing in the game, which was kind of novel. We've not seen any evidence of that, so I don't think it's that.
No, and it's kind of hard to think magnets. Because the Switch 2's Joy-Cons are magnetic. And they are very strong magnets at that, as we can, attest to, because we had hands on, and it's very strong magnet. So a Joy-Con, the stick module is so close to those rails. If it was magnets, they would be getting pulled out of whack whilst attached to the system.
You'd be getting fake drift all the time.
Yeah. So I can't imagine they are Hall effect. I imagine it probably is potentiometer.
Now, Hall effect is fantastic, or TMR specifically.
TMR is even better.
Yeah, we always look for it when we're looking at third-party controllers and third-party Joy-Con alternatives. We always look for that.
Yes.
But it isn't the be-all and end-all.
No.
Hall effect can still develop issues.
Yeah,
and potentiometer doesn't guarantee drift.
Yes. Yeah.
Will these still drift? The Joy-Cons, we don't know, but I would imagine if you're heavy on them, they will, because they're still quite small.
Yeah, I reckon because of the uproar from the Switch 1 for the drift, I think Nintendo have probably R&D'd it hard to improve the modules. That's why they're much larger.
Yeah.
They feel way better in hand after us using it. It does feel a lot nicer than the Switch 1 Joy-Con joysticks. So I imagine they've probably done quite a lot to try and prevent it, because there was a whole lawsuits and stuff going for them. So I really think they would have upped their game here. But I probably would say they're still potentiometers.
Yeah, I think so. Whether it'll be a problem or not, only time will tell.
We'll see.
I do dislike the fact that they're probably not Hall effect. But I don't think they could get around it. The other one is analog triggers. Now, again, if a bit like the OLED screen thing, if I was going to do like a dream thing, things like that Pro controller would have analog triggers, but with digital stoppers as well. You'd have. We've seen it on some third-party controllers.
Oh yeah, loads of them.
You can switch between the two.
Yep.
If that was your dream, but we've got to remember this is a Nintendo controller. What game are you worried about?
Yeah.
What game are you playing on?
Yeah.
And I saw a beautiful comment on our controller video about this. And it's someone who resonated with me perfectly. He said, I'm willing to die on the hill of the fact that analog triggers are worse than digital for 99% of games.
Yes, and I'd agree with that. And I mean, that's why the majority of third-party controllers we see now have the option for a digital input stopper or switch. And also the Nintendo devs pleaded with Nintendo to keep them digital because arguably it's the best way to play. I know the GameCube had essentially the equivalent, slightly different there, but it's just faster actuation to press and input. So it's better for SPS games and everything else.
It was a weird gimmick. I think Sony started it with a DualSense controller with analog joysticks.
Yeah.
They started this idea of like not having digital inputs.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to the triggers, it almost started like a bit of a gimmick. A bit like you'd see Nintendo kind of implement on some of their more kind of quirky things. But I failed to see beyond racing games where you get genuine advantage from.
It's the only thing really is racing games. We know like PS5, there's some games that utilize the next step again with the adaptive triggers.
Yep.
And that's kind of fun.
It's cool.
But it's not necessary.
Yep.
You know, for the majority of games, you want to press the button and have it respond as quickly as possible.
Especially if you're playing shooters.
Oh, that is a number one reason. And with Call of Duty coming on Switch very soon, you're going to want digital input triggers, not analog.
Yeah, so for those, if like we're saying, if I was going to draw up an absolute dream list, it would have analog triggers, but with digital stoppers as well, so you could choose between. And yes, it would have Hall effect joysticks. Does it actually matter? Well, I don't. For the Pro controller, at least, no.
Not for me. So. I would rather have the digital. I'm sorry.
I think for the Joy-Cons, potentially the Hall effect thing might be more of an issue. We might start to see problems with them, but we still just don't know.
What we'll find out is in the future when third-party manufacturers start making Joy-Con alternatives, if they start coming out without Hall effect and TMR sticks, then we know it's down to the magnets in the system that are stopping it. Whether or not they can shield it, I don't know. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Anyway, I'd love to know, apart from the price, what are the things you dislike about Switch 2? Please don't put anything about price. I'm so bored of that conversation.
Yes, it's so
but let us know down in the comments down below. Once you're down there, make sure you like the video, subscribe for more Switch 2 and handheld gaming content coming
and watch
shortly.
All of our other Switch 2 videos that are here as well.
Just smashed up between our faces.
And become a member.
That too.
Yes.